Yeah, axe is totally fine. That is the other option instead of mace, but yeah, minstrel everything or as much as you can get. If you are missing a few pieces, you know, clerics or something that might give you a little condi power, but really it's about the healing power, the toughness, the vitality, concentration. And I think build once more here. Some of the numbers and stuff are going to be a little bit off because there are PvE stats in effect here, but the effects will all be the same. Alright, so we do have a few people that I think are at least newish to Firebrand, so. And, you know, it's all Guild people, small group here, so if you have any questions at all, just by all means type them out. We'll go to it. Alright, so the way support's played in the meta that exists and that has been around for a while is the support from the Guardian and the Scrapper, and then maybe some miscellaneous third support that you get from whatever. The Firebrand support is based more on boons, whereas the Scrapper support is based more on Condi Clear and just straight healing. Same thing as a Heal Tempest. More Condi Clear, more straight healing. They cannot cover the boons. Revenant can cover stabs somewhat with the rose and stuff, but not even close with the other boons. So that's your job. Your job is boons. It's not limited to stability, although stability is the main one. There's a bit of a hole in Arc DPS and the logs and stuff that it doesn't cover healing very well. It covers Condi Clears and it covers boons pretty well, but
Yeah. In the group comp, the majority of heals actually comes from the Scrapper because of their med kit. But Firebrand is really good at burst healing with the Empower, dodges, and your F2.
yeah, the NG's doing nothing but healing. They're just dedicating their time mostly to medkit and then just burst and Condi Clear here and there. So they're generally going to be doing more healing, whereas the Firebrand's more support. So on that side, that is one of the reasons the concentration is such a big deal for you to have as a stat, is that boons, that extends how long your boon duration is.
Yeah, Scrapper has like a Condi Cleanse rotation, and then if you're not, because it's just like a couple buttons that do all your Condi Cleanses. So you hit your couple buttons, and then you're healing people.
So the play on Firebrand is more thoughtful than the other support players, and probably than most of the DPS players, because the boons have to be applied before you get hit for them to do any good, or before we hit the enemy. So you have to be kind of more attentive to what's going to happen in the next 5 seconds, or what the commander is planning to do, or where we're going to go. and put that stability on before everybody gets yanked off a cliff. So part of that is knowing where you're getting what from skills, and the more you can mouse over your skills and your traits and kind of read them and figure out what stuff does, the better. But the general gist that you're going for is that you're looking to get stability up, ages up, and protection up before we get hit. So knowing how far we can get hit from is pretty big. Like the maximum range of your staff is 1200, just to get a visual on how far that is. So I visually know right about how far that is, so I know how close, and just get back and get out of that. That's very important. The same as with, you know, the necros and the revs. You have to stay right on the edge of that as much as you can. But you are vulnerable even further than that because of mesmer pulls. And this is where most of the guardians are not on it as much as they could be. Because pretending this is a mesmer line, a pull line, even though that's 1200, I can pull you from there, even though you're further away towards that. So you start seeing those pink lines, stability needs to go up immediately or somebody's going to get yanked. Even if the enemy group is not quite close enough, you have to be preventive and get the stability up. Which, starting at a longer range, you're going to hear small stab, baby stab. And that's when you need to start getting into hitting the elite skill. So there's 3 charges on it. And it recharges fairly quickly because you have the mantra trait. And you keep an eye on your bar on the right, and when stability's done, you hit it again. More stability, boop, 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 boop. It's almost done, and you hit it again.
I could outrun a centaur.
That's your initial kind of before the big push, the big hit, either them or us. When stuff is really going down, the big stab is the stand your ground, because it lasts much longer and more stacks.
Stand your ground.
So your baby stab is easy to strip. So you put that on, that's only 1 stack of stab. So 1 interrupt is going to take that off, or 1 boon rep. Your big stab, 5 stacks, so it's going to take 5 boon rips to get that off and to actually stun us.
Stand your ground.
Hey, question.
Yeah.
If you have Aegis on, does that stop a pull?
It does.
Okay.
So that's your other one. The stability is your main one, preventative, but your other one is the Aegis, because that is just awesome. The Aegis being able to instantly block stuff is huge. It's going to block anything, you know, from any source. It could be a pull, could be an arrow, could be whatever. Yep. So the patch change I was mentioning means where we used to get Aegis from the heal skill, the Mantra of Solace, now we do not. So we have a lack of Aegis from our previous gameplay, where we could just get it from spamming heal. So the protection key, you still want to hit your heal skill preventatively. It is not a heal skill for you. It is a source of protection and resolution from the group. So as well as getting your stability up before we get hit, you need to be hitting your heal skill before we get hit to get the protection, the resolution, and the quickness. You have that first trait set.
I could outrun a centaur.
And that's another one you're rotating. You're kind of throughout the combat, you're hitting your mantras repeatedly to kind of maintain that boon as it gets ripped off, as we hit things. You're kind of trying to keep an eye on your orange stuff and make sure that those boons are maintained, but not overdoing it, because you mash all your skills in once and then nothing left. So you got your stability, you got your aegis. Resolution is a nice padding against some Condi.
Time to do some real damage.
And so where the build varies from meta a bit is with the advance.
Charge!
And that is purely for Aegis.
Charge!
The benefit of that one is that it's instacast, bonus swiftness, and you can use it twice because it's charge skill.
It's also doing a Condi cleanse,
Right.
AoE Condi cleanse, and it has a shorter cooldown because we're traded for it. So it's even though we're not using the cleanse mantra, we're still getting cleanses from it, and it has ammo. So
That trait right there makes a big deal. So it's actually converting conditions to boons, not just removing them when we do either of the shouts.
Advance!
So you got your shout, which is an Aegis, which is instantly going to block the next attack somebody gets. So you're stacking that with stability. You've got protection as well from your heal skill. So that's your initial quote-unquote boon rotation once combat is on. Once you feel like we can get a hit, pulls could be happening, they're close enough to hit us. And then you're normally starting the fight out in staff. Staff is your go-to for all things long range. You might have time for an empower, you might not. Don't feel like you have to stand there for the whole thing.
anytime that you're going to empower, use your heal skill. It'll give you quickness for it. So just like pop your heal skill and then hit empower, and your empower will be quicker.
What's the heal skill? The interest plus?
Yes.
That's a good tip. Yeah, the Liberator's Vow trait that we're using now. Anytime you heal skill, you get quickness. So that's for the whole team as well.
Before or after?
You'll have to hit much harder.
I mean, whenever you hit it, you get quickness. So that's just going to speed up whatever other skills you do.
Yeah. Even if it's mid fight and you're using empower for like a heal instead of like the empower before the fight, use your heal skill. So then it's just faster, so you stay with the group, and it's also giving protection. So it weaves itself into your gameplay really well if you use the heal skill along with the empower every time.
Does quickness stack and make it like super duper quick? So if we all do the quickness, then everything is just like super fast.
Quickness is
No.
quickness, but it'll last longer the more it's stacked for multiple people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's like swiftness, where it just stacks time. So like you can have like 34 seconds of quickness or whatever, but
Gotcha.
it's not gonna make you any quicker.
Okay.
Quickness is good for golems. They'll hit stuff quicker. If we're about to go for a big hit that quickness. That way the revs, the necros, they're all hitting stuff quicker. It's a huge combat boost.
Does quickness affect like catapults and stuff?
It's just the golems with the other ones. Or actually, no, I'm wrong. Quickness does affect your recharge on katas.
Yeah, except if you just get like a couple seconds of quickness when you're in the kata, it doesn't really help that much.
Okay.
Alright, so that's
I could
just
outrun
about
a centaur.
the main boons you have without books. But beyond that is your other weapon skills that I feel like are neglected a bit, and people focus a bit too much on the books, whereas you got to be rotating through the whole set. So before you're jumping in your books, you've got a nice chance to get your line out there, which is, you hear a call for a CC, a call for a line. The enemy's coming at us. Don't wait for somebody to say something. Drop that line and keep going. You're going to interrupt somebody. You're going to take off their stability and make everything easier.
And a block will not block that. Like if they have Aegis, they're still gonna get knocked over if they don't have stability.
And your staff 2/3 is valuable. You have some damage. I mean, you can mess with cannons and people on the walls with that, whatnot. Or if there's a call for a range spike, you can throw your 2/3 out there without neglecting your mantras. But
Oh, I have a question. So like when we were stealthing and like people say don't put like down like light fields or whatever, like what is that like? What happens?
so the staff 3 is swiftness. The longer people stand in it, the more swiftness they get. So some commandos would be calling drop symbols. That's what they're talking about, the symbol of swiftness, the 3. But the way blasts work, the first thing down is the thing that gets blasted. So you put that down, and then we put down the stealth field, and it's going to screw up that blast. It's not going to give us stealth. It's a conflict between field types, whether it's fire, water, air. It's not good to have multiple types in the same spot.
Okay, so you don't always want to cast staff 3 when you're like prepping, or prefer you're gonna go in.
Right. If there's a chance there could be stealth, then I would not put that down. Yeah. You could put it down ahead as we're running through it. That's normally what I would do. But if we're standing there static, no, I wouldn't put it there. But the basic 2/3 is actually a good squirrel saver. Because, and you can throw in the line too, say one of our people screwed up their dodge and they went the wrong way, they got pulled, whatever. You put your line out, you put out your 2/3, and that's going to get them some healing, some condi clear, and it's going to stop somebody chasing them while they try to get back to the group. And you don't have to move. Same thing on our group. If our group needs heals, the staff 2 is probably the quickest instant heal you have. And it also will blast whatever's there. It's a bonus. That's your blast for the stealth. But it's slow. You have to kind of cast that ahead of time. So practice a bit with the 2 and the 3 so you know how to achieve it and have it actually say blast.
Lethal combination. I like it.
Probably separate a bit so you're not, messing up other people's. If you know what you're actually blasting. You can also blast hollowed ground. You can blast any kind of field.
Is it bad that I use 2 to try to deal damage and tag people?
No, it's not. And I do that too. 2 and 3 are big skills, so you're gonna hit a lot of people. So no, do that. It's gonna be not huge damage. You don't really have much power.
Yeah, it's just to tag and get bags.
Yeah, but you might get a little burning on them. You're gonna get a little damage on them, and a little damage from 5 guardians adds up to the damage of a normal person.
I could outrun a centaur.
Just I mean, it's mostly about focus and not getting ADD trying to hit people when you should be supporting the group.
Time to do some real damage.
But yes, by all means, throw that out there. Throw it on a cannon. Throw it on the best use actually on those skills in terms of enemies is downs. If you can just throw those on a down, particularly the 3, because it pulses damage, that's just going to eat away any chance they have to res themselves. Down up on a wall, anything like that, you just throw that bomb on them. So yeah, that's early fight, just pre-engage. We're moving around, back and forth. The back and forth that happens before the full pushes. So then, once it's getting spicy, you kind of have a judgment call of either going to your book 3 or your sheet. And that sounds like crazy talk to some people, and they will say you must instantly go to book 3, blah, blah, blah. But the problem with that is that people kite so much, you may end up being stuck in a book when you don't want to be. So just make sure it's the real deal before you get into book 3. because you're probably only going to get in there once per fight. So I guess the alternative between the book 3 and the shield mace is they're both protective. They both got extra boons, but the book 3 has more of them and better ones, whereas your shield is available more often. So the action you'd be looking at on a shield is you have your 4 for protection Aegis. And the shield mace excels in pushes, in melee pushes. So you can get in there with your shield 5 cover from all kind of projectiles. You have Aegis to block the first attack. Once that's off, right into mace 3. You have more Aegis and the protection.
Oh, never let your mace 5 just run all the way out. Always pop it for a heal. If you hit it the second time, it's a burst heal, like your staff too.
Yes,
So,
that's
if
second
you're
use, yeah.
bursting healing, like if you're in your staff and you need a burst heal, like use your number 2 and then swap to mace and then use your 5 and pop it.
So like there's a basic healing rotation that you would want to be doing in a pressure situation where we're not really that much in danger. Kind of like if we're on siege and we need heals, but we're not being hit by an enemy group, there's just some siege hitting us, whatever. You're not touching your book. You need to save that for a real threat. So in that basic healing rotation, you're looking at something like 2-3 on our group, Empower, because Empower heals as well. Swapping, shield, double tap, or keep it up if we're getting pew-pewed. You can do your 4, you can do your 3, you can do your 2, and you're just going right back into your shield, your staff. You just repeat.
Every block that you hit, like every time you block an attack, you're healing everybody as well. So make sure not to like spam your blocks all at once, but just like use them as you get hit. So like use retreat, then once you get hit, then use your number 4 on your shield. Then once you get hit, then you use your 3, and like so forth. So that'll kind of time your heals, your burst heals. So
That's a good point. Yeah, the more you slow down your gameplay and you're not spamming skills and you're actively aware of if the boons are there or not, the better it's gonna work.
yeah, I know it's a lot to like keep track of, but also if like so once you're done with your mace, make sure to dodge and then swap because you're gonna get that dodge back. And as a firebrand, you heal when you dodge. So instead of wasting a weapon swap, you dodge and then weapon swap, and then you have full dodges again. So you're not like wasting that weapon swap.
And you should have Sigil of Energy on both your weapon sets, which is triggering when you swap weapons or when you go into books. So you get a lot of extra dodges. If you pay attention and you watch some of the Guardians, they're just dodging randomly during fights and not really. You shouldn't really be following necessarily what your Guardian is looking like they're going for, because they might just be dodge rolling the field. But you can also use that on a melee push. If you're pushing through, you dodge at the end and then you just heal everybody so they fill back up.
Hey, people don't need to know that, Mia. You're supposed to just like, yeah, I'm just a professional firebrand. Like,
Is the plan.
this is what professional firebrands do.
Welcome back. Yes, aggressive dodging, calculated dodging, and the heal happens at the end of the dodge, so you have to kind of know to dodge towards an enemy or an ally that needs a heal. Sigils will help immensely. Sigil of Energy and Sigil of Transference is the go-to.
your ground.
So that's your basic healing rotation pre anything intense happenings that would justify book 3. And you know, the commander might call that, they might not. You kind of have to make the call. The commander might make the bad call on that, because they may not know your cooldowns. So if it's a high pew pew situation, if we're being clouded, you can try to cover us a bit with a shield but you're gonna have to get right into book 3 pretty quickly at that point. Or if we get pushed, if we're about to push them, bam, book 3.
They'll have to hit much harder.
So just hitting it triggers a ton of boons by itself. So figuring that into your rotation so you're not wasting stuff.
Knowledge is power.
Once those start to wear out, the normal thing in the books is 5-4-3. The 5 has another nice set of the big boons that we need, the stability, protection, aegis, plus an extra bit of toughness for the group. So stability, protection, aegis, all covered by hitting the book. That wears off. You put them back on with 5, and then you have your 4 and your 3 as your other main ones. The 2, I mean, it's, you know, there's some resolution. Taunt is, I mean, if they're running right by us, you might stop somebody, but that's not really your job. You can technically spam stability with 1, but it's generally better to wait and use your other skills when they're recharged, because you can do other stuff with your right side with your mantras and things.
Yeah, I would say just use the number 4 at least twice before you drop your book, because it has access to the only thing you don't have access to anywhere else. And that's resistance.
That 4 is a big deal. Resistance is not very common in anywhere else in your build or in anybody else's build. And they changed up the whole thing with resistance resolution. So you are getting the resolution side from your heal skill, which covers condies that hurt you. And then the resistance covers the condies that move you, or that stop you from moving. Cripple, chill, blah, blah, blah. So that will make it so we can push effectively. That will make it so immobilize doesn't work, so cripple doesn't work. All those awful things that they throw down with traps and chokes that we need to just get through. That's what this is for.
It's like the Condi version of stability.
That's a good way to think of it, yeah. So that 4 is a big one. It creates a nice area of protection. You can see it. The team can see it. Hopefully, if they think things aren't too virtually spammed out. So that one's kind of, on cooldown once we're in a big fight. That'll just give us some nice area of protection. It pulses. And then you've got your reflect, of course, the 3. It does not reflect siege, but it does reflect projectiles. So rangers, hammer 1 on rev, thieves, anything that is the technical projectile is going to go back at them and not hit us. But there aren't really too many of those classes. Like, you're not going to invalidate a Necro with that. You're not going to invalidate a Mesmer. Dragon Hunter, not really. Their bow, maybe the one on the bow. So it's going to work really well against some classes, but against other classes it's going to do nothing. So that is just, another thing you have in your arsenal to kind of shut down pew pew, but don't hyper focus on that because you have other stuff to do. And that's kind of the book 3. You've got your 5, you've got your 4, reflect a bit, do your 4 again, do your 5 again once you get a chance, and then that's kind of it. You're out of foot pages. So then it'll drop you back into your shield. or staff, whichever you came in on.
Time to do some real damage.
The timing as far as when... Oh, to camp it? So, you aren't really going to get a chance to camp it a whole lot. You've only got 5 pages on this build. And so really hitting the 5, the 4, the 3, that's 3 right there. You should be able to get in the 4 a second time. You've really only got 1 more other use, and then you're out of it. So just sitting on them really is not helping.
Slow motion on a in a push. This is kind of what I do if we're pushing. Then I'm going book 3. I'm dropping the 5. I'm dropping the 4. I'm insta-casting number 2 because it's insta-cast, and I'm dropping the reflect. I'm dodging, and then I'm using number 4, and that's all my charges. That's kind of the beginning of the fight. It goes really fast, but so you're not
There is a
really camping. But
there is a different trait you can take in the first line that instead of giving quickness, you get 3 more charges, and that's what we ran before. So there was more time you could sit in the book, but I don't think it really was helping. More people were just messing around with the flex. So yeah, just do your book. Don't neglect your mantras if you have some something that's missing. Get right on with your other rotation. And then you have a chance there to either get off and empower if that's needed, a quick line, a 2-3, your shield stuff that we mentioned, or if things didn't go so good, you go right into book 2. Good fight, you don't touch book 2. You don't even mess with it. That's NG's primary heal. So book 2 is if things are beyond the power of the NG.
Book 2 is when things are shit's hitting the fan.
Exactly.
yeah, 'cause as soon as you use it, you're removing 3 Gandhis. So as soon as you open it, you're immediately helping. So it's very much a panic button.
And it's important to maintain stability with your elite and stand your ground while you're in it, because the book 2 is not really giving out boons. It's just heal, heal, heal. Book 2 is basically the medkit of the Scrapper, but really very similar stuff. And same idea of the 5 being first. Cures a bunch of conditions, and it gives a big heal boost to your other skills. You've already just taken off some Kandis with going into the book, but if it's bad enough situation where you're going into book 2, you're probably just hitting this stuff as quick as you can. So, a heal spam, we really got smacked. 5, 4, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 until you're done. But the 1 is directional. You have to face your group, similar to Mantra.
I could out.
Another thing of note.
There's only so many Kandis in the game. So, I mean, if you're opening your book, using 5, and then using 2, that's almost every single Kandi in the game. So, yeah, it helps a ton when we get hit. If you... That's like the first Kandi cleanse that Firebrand has that will help Scrapper keep up.
And I mean, the idea is not for us to stand in damage. The commander needs to be honored enough to step out of that bubble or well or whatever's wrecking us, and you do too. You need to at least step to the side a bit before you heal, so it's not all for Vayne and everything is piled back on us again. But beyond, yeah, that's really kind of the main parts of the build, and then it just repeats. You put the different pieces together. Maybe you go from shield to book 2 if it's really bad. Maybe book 3, and then you go to staff. As long as you know what they do and you know what's going on and what's needed, things are going back to range again. Maybe we're going to need a CC. Boom, get into staff. You got the line ready. If there's a lot of range going on, shield. Get your shield up, and then the mace after that. Maintaining stability, maintaining Aegis. Only other thing is really the book 1, which is, of course, useful for getting a few tags on bags and stuff. If you just have done everything else, you can throw the flame thing out there and just, get some downs, whatever. The 5 does actually help the group, though. So same thing. Getting the 5 off as quick as possible. Because that gives condy damage to the group, or burning. And then the only other useful thing is really the 3. The 3 is a nice pull, yeah. It'll pull towards the center of that AoE circle you put down. So it's not going to pull them off the wall quite as well, but it is going to pull people towards the edge of the wall that'll then be pulled off by someone else. It's like it's an extra pull. So, the Mesmer might do their pull, and that'll pull them towards the edge. And then they're using their stability to try to get away, and then you do your pull, and they're screwed.
The time you'll feel the most successful with it is just pulling people off of cannons and oil.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because as soon as they get onto it, you could just use it, and it interrupts them from using it. And then you wait for the cooldown, and then you use it again. And so, like, they can't sit there and use siege because you're just going to be pulling them off over and over and over again. So that's where you're going to feel the most successful with it.
Pulls can be reflected, so it'll keep you honest with your stability and Aegis. If you try to pull them and they have a reflect up, you're going to go towards them. Towards the AoE. But really, yeah, 5, the pull real quick, and then you're moving on with your job.
They'll have to hit much
You got some
harder.
healing to do, some boons to put out. The most damage a Firebrand can possibly contribute to the group is by empowering. None of your skills really do much damage, even if you're going to give might to the group, and that's going to make them do damage. Same thing with quickness. Reflex can get you some nice numbers, yeah. The golems, the Omega golems actually shoot projectiles, so if you can get one of your reflex on the gate, all that stuff will go right back at the golem. Alright, I have pretty much hit every major bit aside from the hollowed ground, which is just a large stability pulsing field that's good for major choke points and high CC areas we gotta get out of, bridges and such. But yeah, that is Healbrand. It's just kind of remembering all those parts and using the right one, going through them, and just keep continually going. And it's fairly tanky. Like, you have to be aggressively in the front and right up on the commander. Just knowing that your mantras are directed, though. Like, if you hit your mantra and you look at the effect, it's not going behind you. It's kind of like a cone towards your frontward area. So you do have to try to hit the group with that, and you cannot be ahead of the group or you hit no one with that.
They'll have to hit much harder.
Alright, any questions at all so far? Alright. That is my first. So what I'm going to do is get my Mesmer to try to pull you guys. Axe. I'll be honest, I play very little Axe. The only thing it's really got going for it is a pull. I can't remember which skill it is.
Number 3, which 2 is the symbol. Yeah.
So it's got a little range, which is nice, and the pull is really nice. It's more of a Condi based weapon, so it plays better if you're doing more of kind of a burn brand celestial type thing or more on that side. But because we generally lack Aegis, giving up the Aegis that the mace gives is pretty tough.
Yeah, the pull is fantastic to like spread out their group to like create downs, and the fury helps. But you give up a lot of sustain because even like your mace, even your 1 skill on mace heals. Like when you're auto attacking, you're healing your group. With the axe, when you're auto attacking, you're applying burns, which is more of an offensive thing. So it does help by like giving cover condies. Yeah, but it's more of a offensive. It's very viable. Like axe is fantastic. I actually really like axe. But you're giving up more of the sustain roll, so.
I could outrun a centaur.
All right, so let's have you guys spread out a bit, because if you're all covering each other, that won't really accomplish much. All right, so I'm going to rip a lot of boons from you, and you're going to see them fall off, just so you know how much a Mesmer can wreak havoc on what you're trying to do at full 1200 range. Who wants to be my first victim here? Mia's jumping. All right. All right, so Mia, go ahead and get on every boon you can think of. Just empower. We got plenty. Go ahead and target her so you can see. And I'll go ahead and start with that one. Back up blocked. There's a null field. There's a grav well. There's another grav well. Immune, excellent. But I finally got her. Now I can pull. Now I'm pushing into melee. Rip, 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 rip. Rip, rip, rip. And I can back off and run away and then do it again. So even if you're doing an awesome job and you have all your initial boons on, some Mesmer or Necro is going to take those things right back off. So you have to be on it. You have to be continually putting those things back on. That's why when people just like, oh, I have 100% stability uptime, I have concentration. No, because you got to put it back on. Somebody's gonna rip that right off. You have to put it back on. You have to have more skills that put on stability than just one hit and you're done. I'm gonna come for this group on the left here. There's Ulrich, null fielding.
Yeah, that was
Pulling.
quick.
Blocks are working. I can see the Aegis triggering. That's stopping a lot of my pulls, so that's
I think that's
effective.
Devi. Devi's put blocks.
There are a few together, yeah. Gotta be ready.
There. Target identified.
Everything's on recharge now. Alright, Debbie, I'm gonna come.
Wait, I already used my book 3.
Okay. Off guard.
I'm on cooldown.
Ring if you got some.
I still have everything.
You're standing in the traps. That's
Oh, I'm in pressure.
Alright, pressure on. Rick's about to be stripped. Grab willing. He's stuck, he's stun breaking. Stunning again. He's doing great at keeping the Condi off while everything else is happening. There's some...
It's starting to run out.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting to. You can be a superstar and just just totally invalidate the enemy's damage for about that long. And then the commander needs to realize it's time to move. You cannot stay engaged indefinitely. So you have your slowing down that you can do depending on the pressure, and kind of use your skills more slowly to make them last, but there is a limit. I'm just gonna do some
I could outrun a centaur.
pulls here on Psy. Got a null field for you. You good.
They'll have to hit much harder.
Any of my necros ready? Yeah, let's get a good Condi bomb ready here. Ringeth is prepared. Put some wells. We haven't tried necro wells, so you can see that pulsing damage and how much that hurts. Dark circles on the ground, bad. You have to move. Bad, bad, bad. That's just a couple of necros. Good enemy group is dropping, 7, 10 wells on one spot. Wounds go away, you gotta step to the side, put them back on. Tap to get rid of Aegis. No field, grab well. Pulling. Stability's working, pulling again.
They'll have to hit much harder.
One thing I did not mention is the other highly important thing of the Elite. The Elite is a group stun break. So you with that skill is the most important thing you got. We get stunned, we get grab weld, we get anything. You must hit your Elite immediately so the team gets back up. Ring that bell. Get in the habit of dodge rolling right after that. Because if we got stunned, we probably got hurt too. So you stun break everybody, you dodge roll, and that's going to heal them back up, and you get your boons going. The mentor we should be doing every time stab drops? Pretty much, yeah. The Elite is your go-to stability. The big stab, the stand your ground is the big one, where we're pushing or they're pushing up. That is a higher, longer stab to use, but the go-to, yeah, that's the Elite.
Should I be saving my hallowed ground until later in the fight, or oops, hey?
Yeah, the hallowed ground is kind of that big one. If you can combo that maybe with a bubble or a bridge or a doorway we got to go through, just try to cast it ahead of the group so everybody runs through it and gets their stability. Full minstrels, yes. It lasts for a full refill. Almost. I'm not sure now that I've switched. If you have enough concentration, it should be damn near long enough till you get your second charge, yeah. Yeah, we can just actively practice while we talk here. We got all kinds of skills to try. More questions, keep it coming.
Generally, I pair my Hallowed Ground with my Mace Heal Burst. Because I kind of view it as you have your Book 3, and then you have your Hallowed Ground Mace, and then you have your Stand Your Ground Staff kind of pairing. Those are your 3 stability healing pairings.
The hallowed ground is something that I mean, I would say keep retreat above hollow ground. Even I think just that ongoing aegis that you can provide is probably more valuable in most situations. So if you're going to drop anything, drop hollowed ground, and then you'd be looking at either the Signet of Mercy for the res, which might be some good to practice actually.
Time to do some
So I'm looking at the 3 for my mace, and I'm reading the description. Do I only provide boons if I get attacked?
Yes.
Just making sure. So there's no point to just like randomly do that. Just, well, I mean, there's no point
Yeah.
to do it anyway.
Just
but-
in the fight, it's useful. Out of the fight, like just range pressure, it's not.
Okay. So
Like
that's
when
not
we're
like a
pushing
preemptive
on.
boon. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Once you're in a melee push in the thick of it, something's going to hit you, so it should trigger.
They'll have to hit much harder.
And although you are support and you are well equipped to be tanky and heal people, don't be the superhero hanging in the back trying to save that one person that did something dumb and then you heal them and then they do something dumb again and then you die. There's a leash you need to be on, and if people get beyond that leash, they don't get your support, even if they are really trying. They're just too far to get it.
I feel good.
I can't tell you how many times I've just been in EB trying to be a generous Firebrand, and I just res this pug off to the side that went too far, and then the commander turns and I'm done, and then the group's done because the commander doesn't have a stab.
Oh, Jess brings up a good thing. CCs. What are all the CCs we have access to? Like if the commander calls for like a CC bomb.
They'll have to hit much harder.
Your main one is going to be your line. The line is really, really good.
Time to do some real damage.
The other one is the pull with the fire book 1, and then the one taunt you have in book 3.
Stand up. Barely.
Your shield bubble is also a push.
Yes, good point. Shield 5, I forgot about that one. That one is a knockback too, and that one can screw us up in some cases. Such as if
Like
We've
if we
just
drop
dropped
down,
bubbles
it's like
and
the
wells, yeah.
wells or whatever. Yeah.
so if there's a lot of other allied skills, try to save that one for more of a situation where we're like pushing somewhere.
Time to do some real damage.
So you don't.
Generally, I call for CC bombs defensively. Sometimes I call for them offensively. But if they're like pushing on us and we're dodging back, use your shield 5. And then if you go book 3, which I assume that you're probably gonna do, your number 2, your taunt, will also screw up their stab, and it's a really fast cast.
One thing I've not mentioned in this training, but I have in several others, so you guys may have heard it before, but your settings and your graphics can help a lot as far as having a wide field of view and the larger health bars for your team. Yeah, let me mention that one at least, since this is support. Yeah, step back out of combat a sec. If you can get into your options and your top tab there, the general options. I really like that they added in that first set of checkboxes towards the bottom thick party, thick squad health bars. And then always show party, always show squad health bars. So that will visually let you see your team and if they are messed up and need heals or not quite a bit better. And I mean, if you want to set it just for party and not squad, that might help you some, but that should be about the same in party and squad. They'll both be getting hit at the same time. And yeah, turn off view as grid so you can see your individual boons and condies on your group. That helps a lot. If you hit P, like you're pulling up to check the squad message or whatever, and then at the bottom, uncheck that view as grid. And you can see everybody, all their boons, all their condies.
Time to do some real damage.
We're not sorted into parties of 5, but if it were, it would just show your 5 people, but that still should tell you what's going on in the group and what's needed. Some grab wells in here.
You could outrun a centaur.
Anything we might want to practice particular, or like any class to go against or anything?
History is mine.
Poor Ulrich, save him.
Oh, I'm on a different party from everybody.
David has stood on top of the wall bravely here. I'm going to practice my pulling off of the wall. Got a null field, take the boons off, and phew. Well, awesome guys. It's been about an hour of Firebrand fun. Hope that was helpful to you guys, and if you have any questions later or at any time in the future in the runs, just say something and we'll figure it out if we don't know.
When's Guardian Night?
Yeah, we could do a Guardian Night now.
That'd actually be quite fun.
I think so,
For
yeah.
who?
Not the enemies.
I usually play Mesmer, but yeah, when I'm tagging up, I usually go on my Guardian here.
Time to do some real damage.
Yeah,
Yeah, that'd be fun.
that was like, in the olden days, that was the only way to command. Guardian or nothing.
Yeah, I do Guardian or Mesmer now. Those are the only
Yep.
two.
Yep, I slowly got convinced to switch to Guardian. Done some Necro, some Warrior, but
Yeah.
Mesmer is really effective.
Mesmer's awesome.